Welcome to another edition of Vigorously, a very special edition of Vigorously. I'm Val Kleinhans. We're with one man from the band who 19 years ago released, 19 years ago this week, if I'm not mistaken, released an album called Dead Again, which made my high school experience that much easier and is still in my rotation today. If you're listening to this podcast, you know who he is. Kenny Hickey, welcome. I'm thrilled. I'm honored.
Hey, how you doing? Great to be here. So you
I'm
were in high school when Dead Again came out?
I know this is I don't mean to like age anything, but
No, that's fine.
I was born about like 5 months after Typo formed. Just
Okay,
to just
so
to put it in
we
perspective.
formed 1989.
So January 90.
Yeah,
So that's
okay, cool.
when my birthday is. So
That's a
I
good year to be born.
great, but if I had been born 10 years earlier, then I would have
You'd be older right now. You don't want that.
but I would have had the chance to like enjoy, all the just the fellowship with friends that I know everybody had at that time and be part of the community at that time,
Oh, you
which
mean pre social media, pre internet?
right,
Yes, that's true.
right,
There was something to that. There is
right.
something to that. Yeah.
Exactly. But what happened was I latched on to Dead Again, and then I was able to work through the catalog backwards. And I was
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
oh,
That's rare. Yeah, that's rare. People don't usually start with that album, but that's the last album. That's great though. It's cool to
purely
hear.
purely because of age. And then I looked at this and I was like, all right, I don't feel so bad about walking around naturally pale and dark haired. This is fine.
Well, at least you're natural.
That I know that's the joke. That's the running joke. But you get it being from New York. Like we were talking a little bit before this. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so just like New York, ethnically very similar. Lot of other Italian Americans, Irish Americans. They're picking
Yeah,
on me.
but Pittsburgh is way more pretty. It's way more beautiful than New York. So it's a really pretty town. Yeah, in the mountains.
But yeah, people don't know that. It's so hilly. But
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I thought it was ironic getting picked on for that all that time ago because I'm like, I look like the rest of you. What
Mhm.
is going on? Like, but your soundtrack made that a lot more comfortable for me, so I appreciate that. And I know for you, one of the big ones growing up was Black Sabbath.
Oh,
That's immensely
sure.
obvious. So I wanted selfishly, just as a fan, to see you, Johnny, Josh, at Back to the Beginning, knowing that history. It just would have made sense. And Sharon has since teased the return of Ozfest. So I had to ask if she called tomorrow, if and said, we need sun, don't shine. Are you in?
I'm in 2 seconds. Absolutely. I think we all
Yes.
would be. Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
I will.
Sharon calls, you go. You know.
That's just the rule. You don't want to
Yeah,
upset
it
her.
is. It is. And plus, I mean, it'll be great, to start again in that facet because, I mean, probably one of my fondest memories of touring in my career was Ozfest '97, which is one of the
Really?
best Ozfests, I think. It was a great experience. I got to meet Ozzy and the whole band, and we played with Manson and Pantera. We were all friends, already friends with Pantera. We'd done a lot of touring with them. It was just a fantastic tour.
Okay, you appreciate timelines as much as I do. I hear that already. So we're going to 97. You've met Phil at this point. Phil Anselmo, I'm assuming is who you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We toured with Pantera. We started
right.
touring with Pantera in 1996, I think it was.
Right. So that's another friend. That already makes it a good time. But
Yeah,
Ozzy is the highlight for you. Is that what made that special for you, that moment?
probably, yeah. One of the biggest highlights was, I mean, with Ozzy, you would bump into him here and there. He didn't like come hang out, like
He's a
not that,
mythical
but
creature.
yeah, I mean, he had his valet, and he would show up, pop up once in a while when you least expected it. But I did. My oldest was born in '97, Megan, and
Hmm.
we did. One of my fondest memories is I wish we had cell phone cameras then, but we didn't. But
Yeah.
I had my wife had just given birth to her. She was maybe 3 months old, and she flew out to a Florida show for Ozfest '97, and we had the little headphones on her and brought her out on stage left, and Ozzy was there, and he like played with her. It was like,
Oh,
"Hi, little cutie!" I know that she liked him. She liked him. It was amazing. We didn't have cameras on hand, and then Phil came up and said, "Hey, little girl, I got little sisters," and she went,
with the voice. Oh my goodness. I love that so much. That's so special. And I'm sure she probably hears about it every day and is like, what are you talking about? But she gets it now.
"Ah." Yeah,
Megan
she gets
probably
it
gets
now.
it now. Yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Megan's got to get it now, especially with everything in the news lately. She
Yeah.
understands the legacy now. and how
Yeah, well,
important
she
that
grew
was.
up with it too. She grew up. She has memories of me leaving, for
Hmm.
6 weeks at a time and all that. So she, the typo was very active until she was, let's say, I think, what was in 2009 is when we
Right,
became not active. So,
right, because she's not
yeah.
that much younger than me, so she
So
she
she
would,
was about 10 or something like
yeah.
that when a lot was still going on. And she could
Okay.
remember most of it. Yeah.
So let me ask about this too, if we're going back in the past a little bit. Fans obviously know how involved Peter, Josh, specifically, they're involved in the studio heavily with the production side of everything typo. But I'm looking at you and all the clips you're posting on social media and going, well, wait a minute. Kenny's also got a lot of involvement with when it comes to Sun Don't Shine, Silver Tomb, everything you've been
Yeah.
up to since,
Yeah.
production wise, speaking
Yes.
purely with production. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so were you, this is what I want to just ask as a fan. Were you just as involved in the production then and we didn't know it and now we're seeing more of
That's
it
a
now?
very, very good question. So no, I wasn't. I was your classic 80s, 90s musician. I mean, Peter was never really involved in production either. With writing, yes.
Oh, I
And,
get it.
and
Okay.
and as far as layering stuff and putting sounds in, but with the technical engineering side, it was all Josh, and most of the production as well. But see, back then, when you were either a musician or you were a production guy, and
Really?
yeah, you didn't cross the line yet because people weren't able to record in their own studio and in their homes on their home computers yet. You understand?
Hmm.
In order to record, you had to enter a studio that was at least 2,000 or $1,000 to $2,000 an hour.
Wow.
With $200,000 knee boards and all this stuff. So it was very expensive to record back then in any professional, even a lower professional level.
Yeah.
So you had to have access to very expensive gear and you'll either go to school for it or just get right into it. You know what I mean? So most musicians didn't know their way around the studio. I was one of them, And
Right.
not every musician, some did. But yeah, I just totally depended on engineers and producers my entire career until, of course, the technical revolution with Pro Tools, and then, with finally being able to have a computer interface that you can record at home. That's when I started learning production, like when you had to, when studios dried up, studios all went out of business, and suddenly you can't. It wasn't enough just to know how to play guitar and write songs and sing. You have to know production now. You have to know your way around the studio to get anything done.
Wow.
So back then, in all those days, I didn't know the difference between a preamp and a compressor.
Mhm.
But I've since really deep dove into all of that, especially when COVID hit and stuff. I really went deep.
That's
So
such a switch up. You're going from almost needing, like, there's some kind of, it sounded like, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a little bit of gatekeeping involved when it comes to the production at that time.
always was,
And
yeah.
now, but now anything goes. You have to like that better. I would imagine you do.
Um, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you can also go too deep down into a rabbit hole yourself in the studio with walls around you, with not getting the proper feedback back from other musicians and professionals. That's one of the dangers.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I've come to appreciate the artistry of engineering and production. I didn't have enough respect for it back then, and I think most musicians that didn't know anything about it don't as well.
Hmm.
But it's an art form in itself.
It is.
Yeah.
I look at it as a chemistry lab whenever I'm editing video, audio, whatever it is. Just
Yeah.
doing that. I'm not a musician, but when I'm doing that, I kind of look at it as a chemistry lab. That's where you get to experiment. That's where you get to play a little bit. Is that the part of it that's fun for you?
Oh, it's become very fun for me. So, like, if you look at my studio, it's basically
I
now.
see that. So are you in New York or in New
um,
Orleans?
I'm in Staten Island, right? I'm in New York. I'm in
Yeah.
New York. But if you look, I have.
You have
Yeah.
a whole setup.
Can you see?
Yeah, I
Can
can.
you?
I see the
All right.
amps. I'm seeing the
Okay.
keyboards. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's my amp. So it's really,
Oh, wow. All the pedals. Yeah.
yeah. It's basically I can mix in here. Yes.
Hmm.
I've set the room up sonically to mix,
Hmm.
but it's a lab to get guitar tones and vocal tones. So that's what I
Mm.
really could do really well here.
I love that. Well, so I would love to talk more about the technology aspect in a little bit. One question I had too, just rewinding back to one more question on the typo days. I
Yeah.
know that you've been asked this thousands of times. You're probably still asked it daily. With what's happening, any sort of typo reunion, any sort of tribute. I mean, what I appreciate is the transparency about this part of it. You've been straightforward about the fact that the reason why there's a perceived delay anyway is that it's been a challenge to find someone who played bass the way Peter did. So how do like what can you break that down for someone who isn't a musician? What does that mean?
That would be one of the challenges, definitely. We haven't really outwardly or actively looked for anyone as of now,
I see. Okay.
but it would be definitely a challenge. Peter had a very unique tone and a very unique touch when playing bass. He was a combination of Geezer Butler and Paul McCartney
Mm,
and Roger Waters,
hmm
I would say. And it was very unique, and he had this really really huge frequency of tone that like he took up almost the entire bandwidth from 20 to 20K.
hmm
But he was the only way to make. He was the only person I knew that could make it sound musical. He was a very very distinctive bass player. Now that's one thing, just getting that, and then getting somebody that all as well can sing.
hmm
So it's kind of like it's a tall order.
Yeah. Only one. That's why. Never imitated ever again. That's
He
how
was
I
very
always
unique.
felt.
He was a very unique guy.
Yeah.
Period. He's a unique musician.
Yeah. I think that's also a big part of why you as a collective found the audience that you found.
Yes, definitely.
Everybody
Yeah.
latched on to specifically what you were doing because it to this day it is still very original. And
Yes. Yeah.
this
But
is
that's also what it usually took people time to latch onto it because of that reason. Because they didn't know what the hell are these guys doing. So sometimes it would take some time, but we would gain the audience in the long run.
yeah. I totally understand that, and I'm glad that it contributes to the longevity of like what we're seeing today. Obviously, I know that you're recognized as the guitarist that you are. You're doing the vocals that we're seeing you do now. Fans knew that wasn't a skill you kept secret. I mean, we've seen it before, and you tell stories about Peter saying, "Here, sing this," and
Yeah, yeah. I always sang
and you
something. Yeah, every record I sang something. So
right. So my question is, going back to that moment where he says, "Here, do this." What made you say yes? Because you could have said no. And had you didn't, would we
Uh,
not have the sun don't shine we know today?
we wouldn't have the sun don't shine. Definitely, I would have no confidence to ever be a singer. What happened really in the beginning with me singing in Type O was like during Slow, Deep, and Hard in the development of the band from the beginning was I would just step up to the mic at rehearsal, and he'd have backups for us planned, and then sometimes I would just throw shit in experimentally, for the hell of it.
Hmm
And he liked the way it sounded. So then it became apparent that I could actually sing. I didn't even know at the time, I could add something to it. It added another layer to the
hmm
band. And then he just started utilizing it. And Peter was one of those artists where he would utilize whatever was around him in his environment, somebody's jokes, or what our friends said, the
Yeah.
sound of the D train going down the street, the sound
Yeah.
of a bus, whatever it was, he threw it all into the pot. So I was just another element thrown into the pot, and it just kind of it grew from there.
Yeah. His encouragement, everybody in the studio's encouragement,
Yeah.
that contributes to you feeling like you're up to this vocally.
Yeah, eventually, yeah. I mean, it had to be baby steps, of course. With Typo, I
Hmm
would sing some choruses and backups and stuff like that. Sometimes we go a yin and a yang, like with Hey Pete and have answering, but actually taking over full as a full singer and performing was, a whole nother development. Yeah.
Because it is different live than it is in the studio. That's obvious.
Yeah,
Completely
well,
other animal.
you're relating to an audience in a totally different way.
Yeah, I've heard you say before that you kind of look at the audience as just like a giant blob to get through it when you're on stage.
Well, yeah, if like, especially those big festivals back in the day, it was like 200,000 people in
Hmm
daylight, that's overwhelming. That's an
hmm
overwhelming amount of eyes, right? So
Yeah.
if you focus on that, you're going to be way distracted. I mean, usually what happens is you get the Elvis knows, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes before you go on, even 20 minutes before you go on, but usually within the first like half a minute or minute of the song, of the bars that you're playing in the song, the sweat starts coming and that
Hmm.
those nerves bleed out.
Yeah. Like riding a bike at some point. You're sort of continuing that collaborative vocal aspect,
Yes.
continuing that legacy with Sun Don't Shine. That
Yeah.
is one of my favorite parts. Listening, to what's happening now. You're sharing vocals with Kirk. His lower
Yeah.
gruff tones are a great compliment to yours.
Yeah.
Was that a group decision or something you instigated because you recalled how much you enjoyed doing that originally?
It's more like Kirk really loves my voice, and he was like, "Well, you're the singer." Singers are lazy. If they could get away with not singing, they're going to do it. You know what I mean? So we got it kind of like that. A lot of stuff was getting compiled, and I'd have to force him to sing certain parts, and then I would always suggest him push him to. I got to push him more to sing. I
I
don't want
see.
him to sing even more. So I think it's going to be even more in the future. I think it's the band. What makes the band cool and unique sounding is the combination of me and him, not only guitar wise, but also singing. So I want to go more in that direction.
Good. That's good to hear as a fan because
Yeah.
I love it too. I'm excited for more of that. So this is the second time in your life that you're dealing with Mr. Here Sing This, and we're and we're
Well,
just rolling with it.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, essentially, I'm a guitar player more than I'm a
Yeah.
singer. And Peter was more of a bass player than a singer too from the very beginning. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
and it's the same thing with Kirk. Kirk sings, he's got a really distinctive voice, even when he's speaking, but he's like, I'm really confident in my guitar playing. This is Kirk, but like not so much singing. You know what I mean? So like we're first guitar players, secondary singers, so we're always gonna look for a way out of
But
singing.
are you turning to him at those moments and saying, dude, I've been there before. Don't give me that. We like, you could do this. I felt the same way.
Like, he can do it. That
Yeah.
guy could do anything. Let me tell you, he's so talented that like, especially with writing, and I love his voice. So
Hmm.
and I think it's a whole new texture to what we're doing. I mean, I get kind of bored anyway just hearing one singer. I come from like the Beatles, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Sabbath and I love Ozzy's voice, but like I love a band where there's multiple voices that can break up the monotony of a record too.
Yeah. So you're probably going to be in line for the movie when it comes out. I know they're filming it now in Liverpool, like a Beatles story.
Oh, they are? They're filming a new
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
There's been so many.
I know. But I know what this is the
I
newest
just
one, I
watched the
guess.
latest Paul McCartney one, on
Yeah,
Wings and
yeah, Man
stuff,
on the Run. Hmm.
twice. I already saw that twice. But yeah, I'm a Beatles freak, so.
Yeah, I love that. So, getting back to Sun Don't Shine and working with everybody that you do today, you're trying to coordinate schedules. Hard enough with Mr. Johnny Kelly, Mr. Please. Yes, I will sign up for another band. Not just that,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but
Kirk too. Look at him, what he's got going. He's got
right, right. Everybody really. So,
yeah.
and you're doing it remotely, I would imagine, given everybody's kind of scattered all across the country.
Well, we recorded partially remotely.
Uh-huh.
Like a lot of my guitar work and vocals I did in my studio right here, and I sent them to New Orleans. But like we did organically get together. We did three extended sessions to write the record.
Hmm.
Face to face. To get the meat and potatoes of it.
Hmm.
So I would say it was 80%, maybe 75% in a room together, and then
Wow.
the rest of the percentage was done remotely back and forth with Kirk going putting his parts down and me sending my parts in here.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering about that because I thought back to if you had tried to do Sun Don't Shine to take it back to the early 90s, the four of you being scattered across the country, would that have been as much of a challenge then as, or would it have been as much of a challenge now as I imagine it might have been then? It doesn't sound like it's a
It
challenge
would
at
have been
all.
impossible then. I mean,
Yeah.
the technology really wasn't there yet. You know what I mean? To share that files that big and do all that stuff. It's just people were signing into them with modems.
Yeah. Kirk
So
is,
that's it's given bands and artists the opportunity really to like never meet each other and collaborate, which in some ways that's good. And in some other ways, you got a lot of guys in their closets writing records. And
mhm.
I think really there's a lot to say to the energy of going back and forth with musicians in the same room together and simultaneously. There's an energy in there. So
Yeah.
we did want to capture that, and we did capture that. But the main thing was to get Johnny's drums down.
Mm. Why
So
was that
that's
such a challenge?
well, no, it wasn't that it was a challenge. That was the main objective. We
Oh,
needed
I
to
see.
leave with all the drums down, so we had stuff to layer. We had a foundation to layer everything on, to do remotely. And then
Okay.
we would do as many guitars there, like say we had 3 weeks at the studio in New Orleans.
Hmm.
We try to get all the drums. So let's say we wrote 4 songs sitting in front of each other, try to get all the drums down in however arrangements they're coming out, and then as many guitars down. But we would never get all of the songs down. And I would just send my guitar tracks when I got home.
Hmm.
And also even I was even cutting, snipping, and rearranging the song. But
Oh,
as
I
long, as
see.
long as we had the drums as the foundation to work on, when we had something to build on.
Yeah. And giving everybody the flexibility to work on things as they can. So it's that much easier when you are coming together and you are face to face.
Yeah, yeah. I know the last 3 songs of the record we did we actually took a month. I took a month, I think it was in June, from June to July 2025, where I just went down there. Kirk had the time, and Johnny was flying down during the week, and we all went to the house together, and we just wrote 3 songs and we recorded them from front to back, all of them complete. So that's really how I would like to do it.
Oh, just, or like Zeppelin did back in the day, just get a castle, spend a month there. Ta-da.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Ta-da, spend all I mean,
Like
because that house had to be my cousin Vinny every day. I mean, with the New Orleans and the New York, like that had to be a lot of fun.
it was fun. Yeah, we had a great time. And it's just great with no other distractions, and your only purpose is making music, which is really that's what's magical.
Hmm.
And there's so many distractions in this time and age.
Yeah. So let's go rewind just a little bit to the very formation of Sun Don't Shine. Kirk has been transparent about the fact that Phil Anselmo was the one that introduced Typo's music to him. So
Okay, yeah.
it made me wonder, is Phil the guy that connected the four of you, given the history?
I think that no, not quite. I think what happened was, from what I understand from the New Orleans sludge guys, which I'm friends with these guys,
Hmm.
that back in the '80s or late '80s, Peter's first band, Carnivore, made a big impression around the
Mm.
Big Easy, I mean, a lot of that New Orleans sludge is influenced by
Hmm.
early Carnivore stuff. So they were already like Peter fans,
Ah.
once they discovered Typo and stuff. And then I met Kirk, I think in I'm going to say 1995. It
Hmm.
was one of our first dates we ever played in Dallas. I think he drove to Dallas or whatever with his girlfriend, and I think the club was called The Basement.
Hmm.
And that's when I first met Kirk, and that was before I met Phil, and that was before I met Dime and Rita.
Wow.
I believe sometime after that, I also met Dime and Rita. They came
Yeah.
down to a Typo show in Dallas. This is sometime after that. It's before we played with Pantera. And I met Dime and Rita before Philip too. So I
Okay.
didn't really meet Philip face to face until the first show of the first Pantera tour we did.
Oh, okay. So you met everybody else beforehand. And
Yeah, I met Kurt before any of them. And then I met Dime and Rita. I think Rita was a fan and Dime was a fan of whatever Black Number One. They liked that song. And that's
I
how we
see.
met them. And they were
Oh,
really
okay.
cool. We had
Well,
a great time with them.
yeah, it looks like it. I still see the clips on the internet of the toilet paper
Yeah,
throwing at the Vegas show and all of
yeah.
that. Like they still go around. They're hilarious. Well, so that has to help. I mean, all the touring that all four of you had done previously, and the experience that you had in the industry even previously, that had to make the relationship building that you have in the house when you're all four of you are together now that much easier. All those relationship building skills that you learned then.
Yeah, not only that, but also that we're all around the same age group.
Mm-hmm.
We all grew up as kids in the '70s. We're all Kiss fans. We all love Black Sabbath. You know what I mean? When we come from the same roots, really, the same roots musically, and also I feel like there's an affinity between like people from Brooklyn and people from New Orleans. There's a lot of similarities. They're very personable,
Hmm.
very upfront people. You know, there's no bullshit. They don't put on airs. You know what I mean? They tell you how it is, and you know what you
Yeah.
get. You know, and people from Brooklyn are they're like the same way. You know,
Yes. And that's what we love them for. So,
so it was, yeah, it was very easy to get along with those guys right away.
now that we know a little bit more about the history, this is what makes. I heard you say that there were still some nerves when you all got to the studio for the first time. I don't think that had anything to do with personal reasons, but
No,
maybe the nerves came from what you were about to do in the studio. Is
yeah,
that
well,
what was going
yeah,
on?
well,
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen, right? We've never worked together. And now, oh, I got to come up with some parts that he liked. Will he like these parts? Right? And he was thinking the same thing of me. And this could be a disaster. It could sound fucking terrible. We didn't really. It wasn't detrimental because we weren't like a band or anything like that. We were just getting in the studio. This wasn't supposed to be a band, you know. I mean,
Really?
Andrew had this working title called "I Am" for the name of the band, and you know, yeah, we weren't saying let's form a band. It was like my friend just wanted to hear what would happen if we got in the studio and wrote one song together, you know. So it was
Hmm.
just supposed to come together and write a song. And yeah, it's nerve-wracking, you know. You don't know if we're not going to gel or, you know what I mean, or he's going to
Yeah.
hate my parts or I'm going to hate his parts and not say anything, you know. But of course, it didn't go that way. You know, we gelled right away.
Right.
Within an hour, we had a song, and we were so adrenalined up by the whole experience that we ended up wanting to do more.
So was it was working together that confirmed you did want to continue on with this and this was something
Oh
that was
yeah,
going to be
of
sustainable.
course. Yeah, I mean, we made the song. Dreams always only die with the sun, and we put it out, and people loved it, and like there was a lot of energy around it, like automatically, you know, and just the energy of us walking out of the studio when we were done with what we had, we were really energized and happy about it. We had a great time, you know. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
and then it was, you know, the affirmation with the feedback we got from fans and stuff, and that's what really motivated us. Well, let's do some more, you know. Let's actually turn this into a band.
Right. And while you're working on this, I mean, the four of you are discussing amongst yourselves. Yes, we want to honor our musical roots. However, we also want to redefine what heavy music looks like today with this project that we're working on now. Mission accomplished, or do we feel like we're still working on that part?
I think it's always a work in progress. It'll always be a work in progress. You know, I mean, we wanted to not just regurgitate and repeat the same stuff we've been doing, you know, with all our bands forever. So kind of like pushing more in a hard rock or progressive rock, you know, area, you know, and trying to like expand it. I want to make it more expansive to where we can play acoustic stuff, you know, and play
Mm,
super heavy stuff, you know,
hmm.
more Zeppelin-esque, you know. That's what we were looking for. That's what we were going for, you know. And you know, of course, the same influences always creep in. So you know, the
Yeah.
heaviness is always going to be there.
Right.
But yeah, we want to make it keep the door open to evolving. You
Hmm.
know,
It's good. It helps working with people that are that open, and it sounds like all of you are to be doing whatever it is that you want to be doing as you move forward, because you learn new things along the way constantly. Even at, even decades later, do you still feel you're learning all along the way?
every time. Every time I write a song, I learn something new. Every time I perform a vocal, I learn something new. I learn new in production. I learn new on how to execute stuff. Every time I'm working with somebody else, you
Hmm.
know, like with Kirk, you know, it takes a lot of trust
Right.
to write together. You know, he's got to trust me, I got to trust him, you know. And when we do trust each other and just let each other, it's the best results come out.
Yeah.
So, and you know, as artists, you don't want to repeat ourselves over and over again. You know, it's got to be something different about it, you know.
Yeah. How do you know that you're not getting into that repetitive cycle? Do you just feel it, or do you
I
hear
feel it.
it?
Yeah.
All
Well,
the above.
yeah. You know, I've done this before. You know, when you've been down, you know, a path before, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like sometimes you can use elements of that as long as you twist it some other new way and go somewhere new with it, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I know when I'm tripping over the same melodies, you
Yeah.
know, which is it's very easy to do, you know.
Yeah, it is. When you get excited about working, I think that happens with a lot of creatives. When you get excited about a particular project, you can obsess over it, you can perfect it. Da, da, da. You need somebody else in the background saying, "Hey, we're done. It's good."
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Or that sucks, or you know,
Or
that's
that
cool.
sucks, or that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like those guys have your back in that way? where they tell you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Johnny's the most brutal. He'll tell me right when you're like, and which is what I need. That's of course we've been working together since the beginning of time.
Yeah, yeah.
No, Kirk's a little more polite about it.
There it is. That's the Southern versus New York dynamic right there. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I got left. I have a couple coworkers like from the same part of Pennsylvania too, and everybody laughs at the rest of us because we can bicker with each other that way.
Yeah.
We can talk to each other that way, and they're like, "Oh my God, you were like yelling at each other. This isn't yelling. This is conversation. This is this
Yeah, Kirk and Todd, they
we're
get kind of
fine."
like thrown back when me and Johnny start going at it, because we will go at it, we'll butt heads on certain things. I mean, also, we also think very much alike, like he
Yeah, yeah.
knows. But then there's also times where I'm not getting through to him or whatever, or he's not getting through to me about something tempo-wise, and we'll
Mm,
we'll get at it. And then Todd and Kirk are like sitting back in their chairs silently. But it's just the way we operate.
yeah. It all turns out for it all turns into something great in the end, from birth to death, coming out April 1st, big part of why we're chatting today. And this is going to be Sun Don't Shine's first full-length debut.
Yeah,
Do new releases still make you nervous anymore?
of course. Every release makes me nervous. It's like, having a child and putting the child in the middle of the street.
Don't fuck it up. Here we go.
Yeah. Watching the cars come. So, yeah. I mean that's also part of it. It's also, I get, butterflies and adrenaline, and I'm waiting for, people to fucking attack me, and then I'm waiting for also people to love it. And there's always you're gonna have both, period. Part of being an artist is you're gonna get criticized. You're gonna
Yeah.
get praised and you're gonna get shit on. And you
Yeah.
gotta be able to deal with both.
Right. And I imagine just to anchor yourself in the middle of all that chaos, you're holding on to whatever it is that you're most proud of when it comes to that piece of work. So, what is that for you with this album?
You gotta love what you're doing. You gotta love what you're hearing. I
Hmm.
put on these songs and I love listening to them. And
Hmm.
that's really what you gotta stick to.
Hmm.
Because that's the only thing, because music is completely subjective, right? It's
Yeah.
not only subjective to people's taste, but it's subjective to a point in time in history, right?
Hmm.
I mean, if you were playing 50s music right now, nobody would ever be like, what the hell are you doing? You know what
What
I
is
mean?
this? Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you got to love what you're doing, and that's what you believe in what you're doing because you love hearing it. I love the guitar tones. I love the structure of the songs. I even like the sound of my voice. It took me years to like that. You know what I mean? And I love, I love, I love Kirk's parts, and I love Todd's. I love the way the drums sound. This is what keeps me going. I can
Hmm.
put it on and listen to it, not cringe. I'm like, oh, I love this. All right, this is great, and I'll do that when an album is new, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
then at a certain point, I'll shelf it, and never listen to it again. I don't listen to typo stuff anymore.
You
If I hear
don't.
typo stuff, no, it would be like I'm walking into a bar like Duff's or something. I'll hear it, and I'm like, oh shit!
And then you forget that
I
was
all
me.
this flood of memories will come back of whatever recording it or rehearsing it.
Right.
And most of the time, I'd say all of the time with the typo, I'm proud of what I hear. I'm like, oh shit, all right, so. We were hard judging ourselves back then, but we did pretty good, when I hear it back now,
Yeah.
100 years later.
I see. Well, yeah, it's like looking on. I would imagine it's like looking at any old photo of ourselves
Yeah, you don't
from back in the
constantly look at
time.
that,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a once in a while thing maybe you'll look at,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Like that. Okay, that was what that was. We're just gonna leave it there.
it's a different experience listening to your own music than listening to
Yes.
somebody else. It's completely different. So.
Yeah. I get asked all the time how comfortable I am with hearing the sound of my own voice when I play it back. And
Mhm.
I imagine that you have that same experience, but there was a point you just mentioned where you were okay with it. You were okay to listening back. Talk to me about the work that it took to get you there, your confidence, so that you
Well,
didn't cringe.
there's a psychoacoustic uh, um effect with
Mm,
hearing your own voice for the first time in a microphone. And the problem is when you're hearing your own voice, you're not hearing your voice like everybody else is hearing it. You're hearing it it's vibrating through your chest cavity
right.
and into your ear canals, which is fattening your voice. It's completely sounds different than what this actually sounds like in the rest of the world. So when you first hear your voice back recorded, it's like an alien voice. Almost everybody hates their voice when they first hear it backwards. It's just a natural human thing,
Hmm.
you know. So, but it also, what it makes you do as a singer is it makes you try to work out those kinks and make the things better that you're hearing back and improve on them. So, and
Fuel
there's
to
also
keep going.
techniques. There's doubling your voice, and there's, making sure you're in pitch the right way, and then singing from the chest cavity. And, over time, I think you get used to, you just get accustomed to hearing your voice
Hmm.
recorded, so then you can start appreciating its strong points
Yeah.
and
A
its
lot
weak
of
points. Yeah.
always learning, just like we were talking about, always,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
today. Even
Yeah, and
today.
it's exposure. It's exposure. It's like exposure therapy. Once you're exposed to your voice enough, then you can really start objectively liking it or hating it.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing there's a lot of musical moments. I mean, duh, of course, musical moments, but specifically vocal moments, breakdowns, guitars, riffs. There's a lot of moments you're fired up about when it comes to this album. So, on release day, what's that going to look like for you? Are you going to be sitting, scouring the internet for what everybody's going to be saying,
Probably.
or are we just
Well,
going
I
to
mean,
let everybody?
I mean, yeah, I will be. I'll be watching. But I mean, it used to be back in the day. You had a record release party. You went to a club or something. It was a big bed.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool if we were doing that. But we don't have anything like that planned right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe I will plan something. We still got like a month. So
Well, I'd love to hear about that. If you could envision what life after this baby is put out into the world, what that's going to look like, what would you want to do? Would you want to tour? Would we want to
oh, I
do?
want to tour. Yeah, we want to tour, definitely. Kirk's got time off in August. We're going to see what happens. If we can get something going, something in the States, bang it around, break the band in, become a real band and play live.
What real band? Real band means playing live.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what that means
real
to you.
band means
Yeah.
everything, not just making songs and put them on a record, but actually being a live performer. Yeah, absolutely. That now, then you become a real band.
Yeah. What do you think has helped you stay so authentic decades into this?
I think probably Peter was the biggest influence in
Mm,
that because you see, I think now looking back, hindsight, that the reason why Typo has longevity is because he always stayed 100% true. Not the only thing in his life he ever really stayed 100% true to was his creativity, like what he made, his music, and the art of it, and even the visual. Like he would never compromise. He would fight tooth and nail. So I think that was a big influence on
yeah.
me.
And you feel like maybe you're taking some of that into what you're doing today. Is it the same
I,
for Johnny? Do you think he feels the same way too?
yeah, I think whenever he's working on something original, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I learned that from Peter. Peter, there's one thing he just never compromised about.
no compromises. Well, I can't wait to see how all of that turns out. I do hope that there is a tour on the way. We definitely want to see that too.
We're going to get something together. Absolutely.
Kenny, thank you so much for your time. I can't wait for April 1st.
Cool. Thank you so much.